Got a big virtual presentation or speech coming up, but you haven't memorized your script? Well, today I'm going to show you how you can harness the magic of a teleprompter and read right from your script without anyone being the wiser. Hey gang, welcome to Katie Fehlinger video. If we are just meeting, I'm Katie Fehlinger and I've got a 15-year background in professional TV and radio broadcasting in the top markets in the country. And I also have expertise in do-it-yourself video creation. So on this channel, I share my advice and all my tips from my lived experience at both the pro and DIY level of video production. So if that's something that piques your interest, consider subscribing for new content, and you can also ring the bell to get notified when new videos post. So I have been on a bunch of Zoom calls lately where I have needed to give a speech or interview someone or act as a host, but I am the biggest scatterbrain I know. My short-term memory is seriously a total joke, and I lose my train of thought really easily. It's just how I am, and it's made worse by the fact I'm a mom of twin 5-year-olds, so my mind's in a million places all the time. So let me know down in the comments if you can relate, please. Anyway, going into these Zoom meetings could have been really nerve-wracking and worrisome for someone as forgetful as me, because I didn't want to keep looking off screen at my notes, and I knew that I would space on some of what I wanted to say, but I figured out a way to get around it. And that was by putting everything I needed to say or ask in an interview into a script and having that as a cheat sheet right in front of me. Now make sure you stay tuned until the end, because I'm going to share a really important body language tip to make sure you don't give yourself away through your body movements that you're reading from a script. So stick around for that. But let's say you have a speech that you're giving over Zoom. There are two main ways to display your info on your screen. First, you can use a teleprompter. There's this great site called easyprompter.com. They have a free plan with basic utilities that work really well for something like this. Now, you need to sign up for an account, but once you do, you can copy and paste a script or type it right into the prompter. Just keep in mind you need a paid subscription to save your scripts in Easy Prompter and to unlock all of its features. But the free version definitely provides what you need for something like this. And once your script is all ready, just click Start Prompter. You can adjust the font size and the speed of the prompter with the controls at the bottom, and then either click play here, or you can just tap the space bar to start and stop. Cool, right? Now, I love using a teleprompter when I pre-record videos that will be edited later, but what I've found with live Zoom presentations that I've done is that using a Word doc instead of the prompter is actually preferable. And here's why. With the prompter, you have to keep up with the scrolling words, or at least you often have to keep stopping and starting the prompter. With an unmoving digital document like a Google or Word doc, you don't have to keep up, right? You'll have to scroll as you go, sure, but you also have full control of the text. So which method you use really boils down to preference. Now, I want to demo for you how I implement this. I'll launch Zoom first, and just for demonstration purposes, I'll open a new meeting. And I'll quickly take a second or two to double check that my shot looks good. By the way, I have a whole video of tips on how to look good on Zoom if you want to check that out, so I'll put that link here and down in the description. Now, the key to engaging with your audience over Zoom, or any video call for that matter, is to make sure you're looking at the camera lens, or at least training your focus as close as you can to the camera lens. Because as I start to look toward the middle of the screen, you see what happens? You can tell that I'm looking at something else, right? I want my audience to feel a connection with me, so it's important that I try to keep my eyes focused toward that lens. That means no matter where you put your Zoom window, if you move it to a lower corner of your screen, if you just keep it behind your script, maybe you even move it over to a second monitor if you have one, what shows up on everyone else's screen is coming through your camera lens. Okay? It doesn't matter how your screen is laid out or set up. Unless you're sharing your screen, what they see is strictly what that camera lens is picking up. So you need to make sure that's where you put your focus when the spotlight's on you. It'll probably feel awkward to talk to a little dot on your computer as you try to read a script. So my advice is to practice ahead of time. In fact, let's try to work through some of that awkwardness right now. For one thing, how do you read from a script and look at the camera at the same time? Let me show you some tricks. It's really just about how you position your script window. So let's say I'm giving a virtual speech on Zoom. I have a speech saved in Pages that I'm going to use for this example, so I'll open that up. And first, I want to make sure my script is formatted the right way. I'm going to make my text bigger so that I'm not squinting at the camera, so I'll size that up to a readable size. I'll also shrink my margins if necessary so that when I read the script back to an audience, I won't be reading from one edge of my screen to the other. That would be a dead giveaway to my audience that I'm reading off a document, because they'd be able to see my eyes traveling from left to right. Right? And then I will actually drag the entire window to the middle of my screen and position it so that all my text falls in a centered column that flows right underneath my camera lens. So here's my lens, and all my text neatly lines up directly below it. Make sense? Now, most importantly, I'll make sure the top line of my script is as close to the lens as possible. This placement will train your eye ever so slightly lower than the lens. So the fact you're reading from a script will be really hard to detect for anyone watching from the other side of the screen. So move that script window up as far as it will go, and as you scroll, make sure you're keeping each line as close to the top of the window as you can. Still with me? Okay, you may be saying to yourself, this is cool and all, but once my speech gets underway, how am I supposed to scroll the thing covertly? Here's where that bonus tip I promised you at the beginning comes in. Using the trackpad on a laptop doesn't really work to scroll through your script when you're trying to be sly about it, because people will often be able to see your hand or your arm move into the shot. So my suggestion is to attach a traditional mouse to your computer. Place that below the frame and use that to scroll. I like to use this Bluetooth mouse with my MacBook. It's great because there's no clicking involved when you're scrolling, and you use it essentially like a trackpad. So I can be super covert using this. And I actually gave a virtual keynote a few months back, and just with COVID and the day-to-day stressors of all things 2020, there was no way I was going to be able to memorize that speech. So I used this method, and I think it came off really naturally. From time to time, you can see my right hand drop below the desk to scroll my lines, but I delivered that entire 30-minute keynote reading from a script. Now, it's important to make mention, I practiced that speech a lot, so I knew how I wanted certain words inflected, I knew the general flow of the talk, but I also wanted to deliver it exactly as I had written it, and I knew I wouldn't be able to do that without a script in front of me. So let's quickly recap, shall we? To effectively read off a teleprompter or a Word document during a virtual presentation, train your eye to the camera lens. Position your script as closely and as centrally to the lens as possible, and place a mouse below the camera frame to scroll your lines undetected. So now you have a pretty sly method to work from your notes without anyone being the wiser. Let me know in the comments what kind of presentation you think you might test this technique on. Now, my next video is going to show you how you can make the most of your audio quality on Zoom, from your speakers to your microphone, and I will show you a bunch of audio options and which ones may make the most sense depending on your use case. Guys, I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, do me a favor, hit that like button, share this video with your colleagues who might also find this helpful, and subscribe so that you don't miss any new content. You can also ring the bell to get notified anytime a new video posts. Now, as you know, COVID has forced so many of us onto virtual and video platforms, and it's becoming even more business as usual to incorporate video into our daily work. So if you're interested in taking your video creation game to the next level, I'd like to invite you to check out my signature online course, the Video Production Project, which will be launching very soon. It is an all-inclusive masterclass that will take even the most novice video creator from point A to Z. And I have a link below if you're interested in seeing what that's all about. All right, my friends, just one last thing. I would love to stay in touch with you in between videos, so reach out to me. I'm on all the social platforms. I'm at Katie Fehlinger Official on Facebook and at Katie Fehlinger everywhere else. And I've got shortcuts to all my pages below. I would love to hear from you. You can also check out my website, katiefehlinger.com, to see everything else that I'm working on. Meantime, my friends, thank you so much for checking out this video. Good luck on your next virtual presentation, and I will see you back here very soon. Oh God, that's recording, right? Okay. I promised you from you, so yeah, be in. the heart in your throat moment when you panic that you may not have been recording this whole time. And place a mouse below the camera. And place a mouse below. That would have been terrible.